Jordan Peterson went on Bill Maher's Club Random podcast, and they decided to give each other a hot stone massage. And to me, this really feels like the amalgamation of every single podcast conversation since 2014 rolled into one. Like, it is the same topics over and over. Wokeness bad. Pfft, us, bro? We like talking about ideas, bro. We like talking about ideas and stuff, bro. That's what we do. Because you got to be, like, open-minded to the marketplace of ideas and disagree and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Interesting, because you guys don't disagree, like, at all in this podcast. And people, certainly in the podcast sphere, love to have conversations about having conversations instead of just having the conversation, having a disagreement. So like I said, this may as well be posted to Pornhub because they're just jerking each other off the entire time. So I could have chosen a number of different parts of this podcast, but I got a few for you. So let's dive in.
If in a political unit, there's still 10 people who are willing to tell the truth, then all hell will not break loose. That's enough. 10 people who actually tell the truth is enough to stave off the descent into totalitarian chaos. That's why comedians are so bloody important, right? Because they do say what's true, and you can tell it's true, and you can tell that people believe it's true because people laugh, and you can't really fake that. It's genuine.
Well, then you are an honorary comedian because you do it.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson is maybe not an honorary comedian, but an accidental comedian. Like, for example, when he fell for a tweet which said that, he thought China had these facilities that suck people off, artificially suck people off with a tube or whatever. And it was like a clip from a porn thing. And he got tricked into thinking China has these like milking facilities where it's like the government whacks you off or sucks you off with the tube thing. Oh my God. But you could already tell. If only there's all you need is like 10 people in a society to tell the truth, bro. And you know what? I think we're two of those people. I think we'll make you an honorary comedian. Even the idea that like, well, comedians are, they like lead society because like they're the only ones who can like actually tell the truth. But I've heard a totally opposite theory on joke telling is like you hit people with a twist and you say something that isn't true to evoke a laugh. Like, it's not like a comedian is just giving their dissertation, their thesis on life every time any comedian does a set. No, sometimes you're being silly and you say something that's untrue purposefully to elicit the laugh because I'm going to cross this line that you're not supposed to cross. And so here I go crossing it. Do I actually mean it literally when I say no?
You're not a comedian, but you are Canadian, so you're halfway there.
Well, right. Yes, yes.
But you don't, you do not give. And again, this is what I was trying to say before about you being a Canadian professor. It's like so delicious that you're the thumb in their eye because it's so much harder to argue with somebody like that because it's this person that they think they should be on our side,
right,
Canadian academic.
I know. How much more milquetoast can you possibly get?
So, of course, they're beating up on a straw man of like the unreasonable far leftist, right? And they're like, well, how can they argue with you? You're a Canadian professor psychologist. Like you're supposed to be on their side. And Peterson's like, yeah, how much more milquetoast can you get, a Canadian professor? It's like, hold on. You guys are anti-identity politics. And you just gave a clear identity-based argument. That was identity politics. You're playing identity politics with what you just said. That's identity politics. Assume the beliefs based on being a Canadian and being a professor, being an academic. And no, people are individuals. He can be all those things and have whatever politics, any politics, right? Doesn't say anything about him necessarily because of what he does. Anyway, oh my God, this gets more and more frustrating.
How much more milquetoast can you possibly get than a Canadian
not
professor?
Milquetoast, but liberal and erudite and sophisticated and all the things we want to think we are. And yet he's not getting on the crazy train with us. And come on, the crazy train is leaving the station.
People who disagree with us, they're crazy. What happened? I thought you guys were just saying in the podcast that you want to have conversations where you disagree. Like you're all about debate and free and open exchange of ideas. Now all of a sudden it's like everybody who disagrees with me is just crazy. Just crazy. Does this seem like you're steel manning people who disagree with you? Or does this seem like a massive straw man? I would love to go back in time to Bill Maher of 2015 and 2016 and show him this video. I would love to. The Bill Maher who supported Bernie Sanders. The Bill Maher who would regularly do new rule segments talking about universal health care and how we need to tax the rich more and a variety of left-wing topics. I would love to show that Bill Maher that later on you would support Amy Klobuchar in the next election. Amy Klobuchar. And you'd also be sucking off Jordan Peterson on your podcast. I'd love to show that Bill Maher.
Hey, so I could ask you a question that I've asked like 40 Democrat senators and congressmen and Robert F. Kennedy, by the way, recently, this question. It's a very hard question, and I don't ask it just, to cause trouble. I'm actually curious.
I am ready.
When do you think the left goes too far?
Shocking that Jordan Peterson would ask that question. Shocking. Shocking. I'm stunned that he would ask that question. Hey, Jordan, have you ever asked the question, when does the right go too far? Does that make up like 90% of your conversations on your various podcasts that you go on or your talks that you give? I didn't think so.
You mean they haven't already?
Well, but how do you know? Like, what's a marker
when Trump
for
gets
you?
reelected? That's when you know.
What would you regard as behavior on the left that's unacceptable from the perspective of someone who's essentially liberal?
How long have you got? I mean, the theme I've been trying to promulgate as much as I can the last 5 years, partly just in self-defense of people who say I've changed, I have not.
You supported Bernie Sanders, and then you supported Amy Klobuchar. Bernie Sanders and Amy Klobuchar could not be more different as Democrats. Bernie supports universal health care. Bernie supports a living wage. Bernie supports unions. Bernie supports taxing the wealthy. Bernie supports ending the wars. Bernie supports ending the drug war. Amy Klobuchar does not support those things. I haven't changed. I'm Bill Maher. I'm smugly arrogant every day of my life. I was just as arrogant then as I am now.
Wokeness is not something that expands on liberalism. It's something that undoes it. And I think you are on the same page generally.
Breaking new ground here, guys. This is uncharted territory. On a podcast, they're beating up on wokeness? I've never seen this before.
To give a few examples, color blindness. Wanting to have a colorblind society where we don't see race is classic liberalism. Mm-hmm. Certainly what Obama was going for. That's not wokeism. Wokeism is race is front and center to everything. Mm-hmm.
So that's part of that. So that to me, that's an extension of the insistence that someone's primary identity is signified by their group.
Right. Which is exactly what old school liberals were fighting against. Don't characterize somebody by that. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they completely invert it, and then they get mad at us for somehow we're conservatives now. No, we're not conservatives. You're just not what liberals are.
I covered a story the other day that I found greatly amusing, which was, I think it was at NYU. You had this workshop that was taught by like super woke lefties, and it was a whites only anti-racism event. And I thought that was funny. I thought that was comical. I thought it was laughable. In fact, it may have literally violated civil rights law for them to do that class. So that's like they're so anti-racist that they ended up being racist. It's like total horseshoe theory type stuff. I covered that and mocked it and laughed at it. And we had fun, right? The difference is, I don't pretend like this is the definition of the left or it's some widespread problem that we're grappling with. And this is all these people talk about on the podcasts. This is all they talk about. This is what they're obsessed with. This is where like most of their focus and their energy is talking about these people. This tiny group of fringe weirdos who have no political power, who are incredibly goofy, who have no institutional support, and they act like, well, this is the problem with the left, bro. You're going to turn the election over to Trump with this kind of stuff, bro. For the love of God, engage in good faith with reasonable critics, and you don't. You just act like all of your critics are the people who are going to that, whites-only anti-racism event. It's not true.
I mean, there's many colleges that have segregated dorms. Mm-hmm.
I wonder how many colleges there really are that have that. How big of a problem is this? How much of a national news event is this, Bill? See, this is what I mean. Like, you go to the excesses of the left, and these are your examples? These are your examples? We have more than 50% of the Republicans who ran for office in the last midterm election wanted to overturn the 2020 election. I don't know. That seems like a little bit of a bigger problem to me. That does. Now, look, maybe Bill Maher agrees with that. In fact, I do think he does agree with that. But then why are you spending so much time harping away on this garbage, which, again, if you watch the entire podcast, there's not a single word of dissent or disagreement with the right. This is all just going after the left. It's a matter of emphasis, right? It's a matter of emphasis. I've talked about this before, but there's a difference between what your politics are nominally versus what they are effectively. You could be a nominal leftist, but effectively attract a giant audience of people on the far right because you're telling them what they want to hear over and over and over, and you're never dissenting from their groupthink. You are very useful to the right. If you're a lefty and all you do is beat up on the left and act like, well, the left's unreasonable about virtually everything. I spend 90% of my time shitting on the left. Who do you think you're going to attract when you do that? Is that the impact you want to have in the world? Where people are misinterpreting your work and you're feeding into it gladly on a daily basis. That's where we are right now. Not just with Bill Maher, but with a number of different people who like to consider themselves liberal commentators or leftist commentators.
This is not liberalism, okay? And certainly in the realm of gender. I mean, liberalism is always about tolerance for let's celebrate and allow everyone to be protected and respected for who they are. That includes homosexuality, that includes trans, which of course is a real thing that happens.
Careful, saying that in front of Jordan Peterson. Careful, because I'm the guy who interviewed him and debated him and asked him if he thought gender-affirming care should be banned for adults. And he said, and I quote, I don't know. I don't know.
Liberalism is always about tolerance for let's celebrate and allow everyone to be protected and respected for who they are. That includes homosexuality, that includes trans, which of course is a real thing that happens. That's different than rewriting the anatomy book from page 1 so that every kid who comes out, it's a jump ball and there's no such thing as sex, it's only gender.
Is that what's happening, Bill? They're rewriting anatomy books all across the country from page 1. Is that what's happening? Is that your, standard Democratic view or lefties view of things? Is that what's happening? I don't think that's what's happening, Bill. I think, again, you could point to some fringe examples of some goofy people with goofy ideas, but the idea that it's the left, it's totally ahistorical.
This is something different. It's not liberalism. So you can't say, oh, you don't believe in that, you're not a liberal. Freedom of speech used to be a whole liberal thing. We used to own the First Amendment like the conservatives owned the Second. That's reversed.
That's reversed. Oh, so the right now cares about freedom of speech? Donald Trump repeatedly called for banning flag burning. He proposed it as president. He said we should, quote, open up the libel laws to sue the media. He tried to sue CNN for like $500 million. Of course, it got laughed out of the courtroom, but it's not reversed. It's not like the right cares about free speech now. They don't. They don't. They use it as a tool. They use it as a wedge issue. They invoke it to protect their own, but they throw it out the window as soon as it comes to going after the right. We've seen this time and time again.
It was liberals who, I used to do the show on HBO, Comic Relief. We're going to help get the homeless off the street. Now it's how dare you ask them to get off the street. So you can keep...
Yeah, real widespread view on the left. How dare you ask the homeless to get off the street? How dare you try to help the homeless? Yeah, very, very widespread view on the left. Literally every lefty I know and have ever talked to, they believe in housing as a human right. That's what they believe in. There might be some disagreements in the particulars as to how you achieve that or whatever, but the general idea is housing should be a right. That's sort of like a standard lefty belief. And what's the right-wing perspective on homelessness? We just covered Jesse Waters the other day, basically saying they're parasites, they're immoral, they're unethical, they're failures, and, it's sort of like you're on your own type stuff. You deserve whatever you got coming for you. And many on the right just want to criminalize homelessness, where it's like, just lock them up and throw away the key. That's all, just put them in prison. We don't care about them. They're undesirables in society. Those are the real battle lines in society, right? Was there a bill coming from the Democrats, leave homeless people alone bill? Let homeless people be homeless bill. Is that something Democrats have been pushing for? Is that something the left has been campaigning for? Again, the examples of disagreements when the left goes too far left, it's like these tiny, fringe, almost non-existent disagreements.
So there's a line of research that's been developing, I guess, over the last 6 or 7 years that I think is very relevant to this. And because I've been thinking more and more thoroughly that the culture war is actually not a political battle at all, that the political battle is a facade for the actual battle. So,
which is? Well,
there's a group of researchers, most of them centered originally at the University of British Columbia, who started studying the subclinical manifestations of psychopathy.
There it is. In other words, all these far left crazy people you're talking about, bro, they're just psychopaths. They're just psychopaths. Again, from the people who say we should steel man the opposition, not straw man them, engage honestly, have dialogue, disagree in a way that's agreeable. These are the people who say that, and then now there's clinical research on this, and basically all these people who you're talking about, they're psychopaths. Right. I got you. All right, I got more for you.
We tell young people, well, you can be whatever you want to be. It's like, you mean whatever? Well, no, but seriously, right? Because
Right.
if you're a girl and you can be a boy, you can be whatever you want
No,
to be.
when I was a kid and we said to a kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? We meant like fireman.
Right.
We didn't mean like girl.
We also didn't mean drag queen.
Sounding real liberal, aren't we? Sounding really, really liberal. Bill Maher, I'm embracing the word liberal. I am the liberal, bro. That's what I thought it was about tolerance and live and let live and freedom. Do what you want as long as you're never hurting anybody else. Then it's, oh, did we say we could be whatever you want to believe? We definitely didn't mean that. You can't be trans. Don't be trans. Don't be a drag queen. But other than that, as long as we approve of it, you can be whatever you want to be. But we have to approve of it. But you can be whatever you want to be. Can't be trans or a drag queen, but be whatever you want to be. All right, now let's see. Soften it. Go ahead, soften it for us.
And there's nothing wrong with a drag queen.
Okay, so say the thing and then reel it in like 25% because you realize even your own audience is going to be like, Jesus, man, what are you talking about?
Why?
In a club at night in New York, in Soho.
Exactly. Why that's a hill?
So the guy who told me that he's not sure gender-affirming care should be legal for consenting adults, now he's, oh, yeah, but drag queens are okay. Oh, in this limited circumstance, this area, yeah, I know. Try to soften the super extremist thing you just said as if it was common sense. I got you.
The Democrats want to die on. I have no idea.
Yeah, the Democrats are definitely, they're always bringing up drag queens all the time. Anytime I hear a drag queen mentioned, it's always from a Democrat. It's not like it's legislation being proposed all across the country by Republicans on trans people, on drag queens, banning gender-affirming care at various ages throughout the country, even up to 26 in some countries. It's definitely not the Republicans who are obsessed with this issue and trying to crack down on this. It's definitely the Democrats who are bringing it up time and time again. Oh, that's right. It was Republicans who were running anti-trans ads in the midterms all over the country in various places. And by the way, they got destroyed. It's like this Pavlovian response. It's this reflexive response where it's always like, and hit the left, and hit the Democrats, and hit the left, and hit the Democrats. Everything comes back to the same point. Wokeness bad, liberals bad, or leftists bad. It's comical at this point. It's comical.
That's what happens when there's this institutional capture of what I don't think most Democrats, most liberals are in league with what the far left is saying. They just are afraid of them.
Yeah, right. Well,
they're just afraid of them.
There's good reason to be afraid of psychopaths.
Course,
they will take. Well, look,
yes.
I've known at least 200 people who've been canceled. Like I have a very wide network of canceled people, and virtually every single one of them, when they got canceled, responded to it about the same way you would respond to either a very, very bad court battle or a very, very bad illness. Like it really wipes people out.
I can't. I mean, this is a caricature at this point. I can't even make fun of it more than they're making fun of themselves. They're acting like the number one concern in the country is that some people online voice vehement disagreement with you and troll you. Really? Look, I have, some degree of online celebrity, and I've been the main character from time to time on Twitter. Stop looking, right? Look away. Well, there was some famous rapper who said, like, how is online bullying real, bro? Just close your eyes. Like, turn the computer off, homie. Like, it's like, yeah, that's right. That's right. Unironically, do that. It's really not that big of a deal. Get over it. Your fifis don't matter all that much. My fifis don't matter all that much. You know what really matters? There's like 600,000 homeless people in this country. At least. I think the number's probably higher. The official number is like 400 or 500. I think it's way higher. I say 600. It's probably way higher than that. That's a real problem. Real problem is that the majority of the American people can't afford an $1,000 emergency. That's a real problem. Over 80 million people. Over 80 million have medical debt. That's a real problem. That's an actual problem. Wages too low. That's a real problem. You know, you have people living in poverty working full-time jobs. That's insane. These are real problems. I mean, medical bankruptcies are a real problem. That's a real problem. It's the number one cause of bankruptcy in this country. And here they are. They're, having some people be mean to you online is a huge problem. Get over yourselves, man. This is such like an elite. Ironically, is they go after elites, but it's like this is an elite problem to have. You have to have some degree of online notoriety to even be in this position in the first place. Where anybody gives a shit enough about what you say to like be mean to you online, and they act like, man, this is really devastating. Jesus Christ, go touch grass. How about that? Go touch grass. Get off the computer. Get off the smartphone. Go touch grass. You'll be okay. Go play some basketball. Go eat at Denny's. Do some shit other than whine and bitch and moan and think your world is ending because some asshole with the name Mao Turd 72 is coming after you.
Most people who are canceled, man, it just devastates
No,
them.
that's why I said when you got sick, I feel like there's a little team. We don't all agree on everything, but we all kind of agree on that there's a thing called sanity, and there's a certain amount of stuff that lands in it and certain stuff that lands out. And we don't have to agree. We kind of like the fact that we don't have to agree on everything, but
Well, you don't learn otherwise, do you?
we don't learn. But you know, in general, we don't have that many things to disagree on. So yeah, I agree. The idea that we would lose any member of the team, this little Avengers squad that we have, I feel like is very threatening.
Look at how much they're sucking each other off, man. Look at this. Look at this. They think they're heroes. They think they're heroes for giving banal commentary on woke mob bad, bro. He can compare them to the Avengers. We're the truth tellers and stuff, you know, like we got this little group of people, the intellectual dark web taps, where we agree, like, this is what's sane. And then there's people who disagree with us. They're insane, but us, our little group, we're the sane ones. We're the Avengers, bro. I can't imagine having this high of an opinion of yourself. I cannot imagine it. And I do a similar thing that they do, right? I do political commentary. They do political commentary. Do I have this much self-importance? I would rather be put down like a sick dog than sound like this.
There are people who only think all day long about how to cancel people, how to get rid of people. That is their raison d'etre. And they would like to think of themselves as social justice warriors, and they're just fucking mean girls. It's not about the worrying, and it's not about the social, and it's not about the justice nearly as much as it is about, I got this scalp on my wall. And
that's that's the sadism part.
That's right.
They're sadists, they're psychopaths, they're sociopaths, the people who disagree with us, the people who vocalize it. They're just crazy. Very mighty convenient worldview you've concocted there. Anybody who disagrees with you is insane. Look, what happened is, because of social media, we've democratized conversation and disagreement. And now there's actual pushback when they say dumb things. Right? And maybe sometimes they're right and the quote-unquote mob is wrong, but oftentimes they're wrong and the mob is right, and they just don't want to. Look, if you can't handle the disagreement, that's fine. I have thin skin. I don't handle disagreement. Just don't read it. That's it. That's it. Instead, they make it the #1 issue in the country. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I hope some of you take this video and post it to Pornhub and title it, Bill Maher and Jordan Peterson jerk each other off, because that's exactly what happened here. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.